All right. Okay. Hi, everyone. So my name is Kayla Williams, and I am the Nutrition Navigator Student Coordinator. And we also have Ashley Monroe, who is the advisor for Nutrition Navigators. She is a dietitian at Campus Health. So for those of you who aren't really sure what Nutrition Navigators is, our mission on campus is to help students on and off campus through a couple of different things, by navigating eating healthier on and off campus through a couple of different things. So one of them is called our Spotlight Series, which is where we have professionals do nutrition related topics for college students on campus. And today we have Christy Wilson, and I'm going to be introducing her. So Christy is a nutrition counselor for Campus Health. She earned her bachelor's degree in nutritional sciences from the University of Arizona, and she is a registered dietitian nutritionist. Christy serves as the staff advisor for Cooking on Campus and Dorm Room Eats, two programs taught by students for students that teach basic cooking techniques and simple, healthy recipes. Christy holds a culinary certificate of training from the Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics, and her special interest in culinary nutrition is what fuels her enthusiasm to educate and counsel students about eating for optimal health and wellness. So I will be passing it along to Christy Wilson.
Hello, thank you. Thank you for having me here for this meeting, this talk. So I will be talking about meal planning on a budget, and then also talking about actually meal prepping and some simple tools that you would need to kind of get started with this whole process. And contrary to popular belief, eating healthy does not mean spending a ton of money or a ton of time to get that done. So yeah, with that, I'm going to share my screen and go through some slides. Okay. Oh. All right. Can I get a thumbs up if this is okay, good. All right. So let's go ahead and get started. You've already introduced me. So I am a nutrition counselor at Campus Health, and I teach a cooking class off campus as well. So anyway, moving on. Oh, I forgot I had animated that. Okay, so whatever you call it, meal planning, meal prepping, food prep, they all kind of go along with each other. So you may run across certain websites or resources that call it any one of these. So they all kind of go hand in hand. So meal planning, it does help answer the question, what am I going to eat? And we all know that that can be kind of make us feel anxious or just a little nervous. So this whole process kind of takes that anxiety out of that question, what am I going to eat? So you basically answer that question once for the week or once for several days instead of every day, and then shopping and preparing the ingredients. So meal prep, so that you've got, in order to prepare, the plan comes before that. So preparing some or all of your meals for the upcoming days or, for the week, it's like having these frozen entrees, but they're ready to go and you've prepared them yourself. And it takes that mystery out of that big question, what am I going to eat? So why do it? Feeding yourself is part of taking care of yourself, just like brushing your teeth and getting a good night's sleep, and all of that, is part of self-care. And feeding yourself certainly falls under that umbrella. It promotes not only good health, but good energy. It helps boost your mood. And again, when you have less of that stress along with the question, what am I going to eat, then yes, that definitely helps kind of keep us calm and in a better mood in general. It helps make the healthy option the easy option. So that's another sort of anxiety lowering quality of this. And yes, ultimately it saves time. It can save calories as well, and saving money, and minimizes food waste, which that's that's something important, I think, now more than ever, is kind of utilizing what you have and buying what you need. So how do you start? Um, it kind of goes in this order, selecting a few simple recipes, and I've got some resources for you on where you can find those. And then making a thorough grocery list based on those recipes that you've selected. And that way, you've got what you need once you're home. Basic cooking skills, there's nothing super fancy that you need to know when it comes to getting into the kitchen. It could be as simple as boiling water, just being comfortable with, cutting and slicing your ingredients, but really nothing too involved, let's say. Having proper food containers to store all your items, and I've got some examples for you in a bit here, and just some creativity. You know what you like, so choose recipes that have foods that you like, or maybe foods that you'd want to try, and really enjoying the process. I mean, not everybody loves to cook, but I think it's important to enjoy what you're eating as well. So for beginners, in general, is just kind of planning ahead for the next couple of days. If you've already done this, then yeah, you can prepare for the next week or two even. So again, the question, is it expensive? No, it can be for sure, but it doesn't have to be. And I think most of us are on a budget. We certainly have a food budget that we want to keep to. But anyway, so meal planning is a great way to save your money. It helps minimize that grocery shopping trips, which is more important now more than ever at this time. We don't want to be exposing ourselves a lot to going out and having to run to the store, more than once a week, if anything else. And it helps minimize the purchase of unnecessary ingredients or foods. Definitely stretches your food dollar, and limits that temptation, or that maybe feeling that it's necessary to get takeout, carry out, drive-through meals, etc. So it really kind of helps keep that food budget down that way. So just some money saving tips on what to look for when you are at the grocery store, or when you're ordering online, or however you're getting your groceries. Check for those manager specials, the manufacturer specials, coupons, online coupons, etc. That's always helpful. Look for produce that is seasonal. So what does that mean? That means that at this time, these are the foods that are ready to pick. So these foods are in abundance at this time of year, or whenever it is that this is applying to, whatever season this is applying to. So right now we're in the spring season, and Arizona Farm Bureau actually has a pretty nice a list of what's in season in Arizona, at these different times of year. So here I have up what's in season right now, and you can access this list on their website. It's actually called fillyourplate.org, and they have these kind of nice handouts that you can look at. So it's not only by season, but by the month. So these are foods that you will find at your grocery store that are in abundance. They lower the price because these foods obviously will rot if they're staying too long on the shelf. But these are foods that you will probably see on sale at this time. So they're not only at their peak nutritionally, but they're also at their peak as far as their flavor. So I always use the example, if you try and buy a watermelon in the winter, A, it's going to be more expensive, and B, it's not going to taste as good as it does in the summer. So think about that too when you're at the grocery store. Another thing that saves money is going meatless, a couple times a week at least, whether you're vegetarian or not, vegan or not. I like to eat meat, I like to eat fish, but by unit price, when you're buying these foods by the pound or by the ounce, which is in the next slide, you can really see how that food dollar is spent. And oftentimes things like, or most if not all the time, foods like beans, certain grains that are high in protein, are less expensive than beef and pork and chicken and your other kind of larger animal meats. So this goes to unit price shopping. And once you get into the habit of doing this, it's kind of surprising how much markup certain foods get. For instance, brand name versus a store brand. So if you're buying a can of corn, let's say, and you look at this price, and every item in the grocery store has this information. Typically what we buy by unit price is produce and meats, you buy them by the pound. But when you're looking at canned items or frozen items, this information is broken down by ounce. And so in that pink section, you can see the unit price per ounce this is for yogurt. So even though the containers might be different sizes, it breaks it down and kind of, what's the word I'm looking for? It makes it uniform, so by unit price, you have 12 cents versus 5 cents. And if it's the same item, it's the same, whatever, vanilla yogurt, you're obviously paying less for the one that's 0.5 cents versus, 12 cents. So this is another way of kind of stretching your dollar and kind of being a smarter shopper in general. Frozen and canned foods are budget friendly. I have a, you can hear somebody laughing in the background. You can, I have a typo here. Sorry about that. So frozen and canned foods are always budget friendly, often on sale. They have a long shelf life, so you can really bulk up on buying these items, and especially if they're on sale. And then again, just another plug for your store brand versus name brand items to, again, save some money. Okay, so getting started. So you've got your recipes, you've got your grocery list. So what can you do at home is really do this sort of clean out of the refrigerator. Throwing away old foods, of course, that'll be cluttering space and precious space, for foods that you're going to make. And then having some of these right tools on hand. So these are just the basic, a good sharp knife, a clean cutting board, or a few clean cutting boards. These bowls that sort of nest inside of each other, those are really great too for your food prep and even storage. There is a website called CookSmarts, and they have so much great information, not only on stuff like this, like giving you suggestions on some basic kitchen tools to look for, if you don't already have them, of course. But they also have a lot of great information on meal prepping. So CookSmarts is a great resource. They have actually, I'm gonna stop sharing my screen. So they have a list of some pantry items, and I printed it off, but they have this really great infographic too on just some guides for pantry essentials. And they even have like diet specific, like if you are following more of a paleo diet or a vegetarian diet, they have sort of customized these lists to meet those particular needs or interests of what kind of foods that you can stock up on. Okay, so let me go back to sharing. Oh, share screen. Here we go. Share. Okay, so here we've got a whisk and some tongs, wooden spoons. Number 34 is a microplane grater, so it kind of grates things finely. Of course, as a dietitian, I'm always using my measuring spoons and measuring cups. A lime press or lemon press, yes, I use mine all the time. So these are just, again, some just real basic items that can help make that food preparation go a lot smoother. Okay, so also a skillet, sheet pan, pots, pans, again, nothing fancy. You can get these items even at the grocery store if you're doing sort of the one-stop shop thing, or you're at a bigger store like Walmart or Target, and you can just get your groceries and any necessary items like this that you might need. All right. And then here's your just some storage items. And I have seen, just even recently, it's just kind of stuck out to me, the meal prep sort of containers. So here is just an example of one. Actually, this was something I'd gotten when I ordered takeout and I just kept. So that's another way to sort of stretch your dollar, is reuse what you've already been given. And then glass items are really great too, because you can see what's inside. Another thing which I didn't bring out, but just some masking tape or just some little Post-it notes, putting the date of whatever, foods that you've made or prepared. That too helps you. I mean, especially now, you don't want to get sick. I mean, we never want to get sick, but you certainly don't want to be getting sick from eating old food that you prepared. And just in one of the later slides, I have a really good resource for knowing or finding out like how long a food is good for, whether it's an unopened container or if it's food that you've already prepared, or a container that you've opened and you've put like leftover beans or whatever it is. It'll even specify like, okay, an open can of beans in the refrigerator is good for, this many days. So that's a really great resource. But yeah, these clear containers are great because you can see what's in them. The other one are mason jars. Another great way to store items that are either prepared or leftover items. Again, the fact that they're clear is really great, because once they're in here, it's like, oh, it's kind of hard to remember unless you've labeled it. And again, these sort of nesting bowls are great too, that you can get even at discount stores like Big Lots and, dollar stores and places like that. Okay, back to sharing. Okay. Yeah, airtight sealed, keeps the food fresh longer, spill proof, etc. The other thing is if you happen to break either, a glass mason jar or one of these containers, you can recycle them too. So that's another sort of earth-friendly tip. So mason jars, kind of talked about that already. They're easy to see through, and they're also portioned out. So that's another plus to the mason jars. You can get them in all the different sizes. Of course, recyclable. And then the resealable plastic bags, especially the freezer bags, because they're thicker plastic. And so you can put them from the freezer to the refrigerator to defrost or thaw out, etc. And again, space saving with the is the other thing, because these storage containers are bulky, whereas the plastic bags, you can just kind of stack them on top of each other. Okay, yeah, so picking a day to shop, picking a day to prepare your foods, kind of leads into this whole meal prepping routine. An hour or two, it might sound like a long time, but now especially right now that we're home, we tend to have a little more time, some of us, not all of us, but just that, that chunk of time can just save you so much time later on. So there's different templates that are out there. This is just one that I found online, but there's so many different ones. And I just encourage you, if you like lists and you do well working off of lists, something like this could be a big help. You just see everything on one page, and it kind of, again, can sort of ease some of that stress. Okay, so getting cooking. This is, for those of you that are familiar with the old food guide pyramid, this is what replaced it years later. And it's not the end all be all of food guides, but it sure is a helpful template where, you have this model of a plate, you split it in half, and then you split those halves into sort of even quarters. Again, it's not the end all be all, you know, this does not work for everyone, but it is a good basic guide as to how to fill your plate. You know, where half is your fruits and vegetables in general, and the other half are your grains, and then protein, whether that protein is plant or animal based. And then there's just some tips as to kind of, you know, each group. So just an option as far as cooking, roasting, grilling, if you have access to a grill, or, you know, you have your oven and you can roast. This brings out the sweetness in vegetables, especially if you're not a big fan of eating vegetables. This could be a way to make them more appealing, and definitely when you prepare them in bulk, have leftover that you can add into all sorts of different meals. Another idea is, you know, getting creative with those mason jars, you know, stack a salad in there. So you don't necessarily have to eat it out of the jar, but once you turn it over and put it onto your plate, everything's in there. You've got vegetables, you know, maybe some grains, whatever protein that you've chosen, whether again that's plant or animal protein. Even the dressing can go in there, so you don't even have to mess with that if you don't want to. So there's different ways. This is one website that just makes it look so beautiful and appealing. Is backtoherroots.com, has a really nice tutorial on how to do that. As far as protein, again, whether you choose plant or animal proteins, these are just some ideas on different foods that you can use for that source of protein. It helps keep us full longer. It, of course, nourishes us. If you're highly physically active, you know, this is definitely an important part of every meal, as it is for all of us. So again, here's just some quick ideas. With fish, that could be canned fish, that can be, you know, fresh fish, that can be frozen fish. It doesn't need to be fresh all the time in order for it to be nutritious. Nuts, nut butters, seeds, these are foods that have a long shelf life. You can buy them in bulk, and they're not going to spoil on you anytime soon. Eggs, another good one. Quinoa, farro, teff, these are ancient grains that do have a higher protein content than, let's say, pasta or rice or something like that. Carbohydrates, you know, probably the most demonized food group out there, but they do have necessary nutrition that give us a lot of energy. So trying to make those grains, at least half of those choices, whole grain choices. These are also some ideas on foods that you can buy either bagged or in bulk. So you got that, and then just different pictures of those. And then how do you know it's a whole grain? Well, these are the whole grain stamp that you will see on different foods, from cereals to crackers to, you know, again, other smaller grains, you know, breads, etc. So that's something that you can look for so that you know what you're getting. Also on your food label, you'll see the first or one of the first ingredients, preferably to be whole grain. So it'll say whole grain and then the name of the grain. So those are just some examples. As far as another carbohydrate source is fruit. And so we know that fruit is healthy for us. It's sweet, so it can kind of satisfy any, you know, that craving that you might have for sweets. And it doesn't matter what form it's in. The most important thing is that you're getting it in your diet regularly, whether it's by itself or in combination with other foods. You know, the nutritional value of it is high quality. It has a variety of antioxidants, vitamins that we know help keep us healthy. And again, whether it's raw, unsweetened, canned, dried, even grilled, you can get really creative with that. Again, frozen, canned, dried, doesn't matter. So, you know, that kind of helps with that flexibility and, you know, what to eat. As far as fats also keep us full and satisfied. There's certainly healthier ones for us than others. And so kind of choosing more of those, you know, more plant-based fats versus animal fats in general, and not being too liberal with the amount to kind of keep a control over the total calorie content. But, you know, a little goes a long way as far as flavor goes, and also as far as calories go as well. So these are some healthier fat sources: avocados, nuts, seeds, nut butters like almond butter, peanut butter, etc. And then fats that you naturally get in foods, including your fish varieties as well. Healthy convenience foods, not an oxymoron. Yes, you can get healthy foods that are considered convenient or even processed. So there's just a list there: store-bought rotisserie chicken, frozen produce, as I mentioned before, canned vegetables or fruit, etc. So just kind of goes down the line there. And here's just some ideas, breakfast or snack ideas: overnight oats, or just even quick oatmeal. Batch cooking things like pancakes or waffles, you can freeze those for another day. Fruit and yogurt parfaits in jars, again, maybe utilizing those mason jars, and you can prepare, you know, several at once, and that way they're ready to go. There's your fast food right there, homemade fast food. Fruit smoothies, same thing, just mixing sort of whatever fruit you like or have on hand. Even fruit that's fresh fruit that maybe you haven't gotten to and it's starting to sort of turn on you, you can make, you know, use them in smoothies or freeze them. More ideas. So these are kind of more lunch dinner ideas: pasta with roasted vegetables and rotisserie chicken. You can mix the quinoa with black beans, canned beans with stewed or Italian canned tomatoes, diced cucumber. You know, make it your own. Make it something appealing to you that you look forward to eating rather than kind of dreading eating. I think that's where people can sort of fatigue out of doing meal prepping. It's like the same thing every day. You know, switch it up. It doesn't need to be chicken, broccoli, and rice every day. So let me show you some, oh, well, before I get to some resources, this is just the food safety resource that I had mentioned, or actually, no, this isn't it. But anyway, the CDC has a ton of information, and something that great that they have is food safety information. Again, highly important always, but especially right now, to avoid getting sick from, you know, eating old food. So anyway, they have a great guide there. The other one, I thought I had it here. Oh yeah, here it is. Still Tasty. So stilltasty.com is an excellent resource for food safety questions when it comes to shelf life. So again, this is the resource that has all that information on whether it's an unopened packaged, a frozen bag of whatever it is, or foods that you've already prepared, and how long are they good for. So this is an excellent guide. I believe they also have an app, so that you don't need to be looking it up on your computer every time or on, you know, the search in your phone. So they actually have an app. So anyway, for years, this is something that I've used. Okay, so here are some great resources. So Fit Men Cook is a great website. This resource, so this website, and this person, who's actually a friend of mine, he has an excellent Instagram account. He's actually doing, since quarantine, he's been doing like live cooking on his account 3 days a week. And so his whole website got started on just that concept of meal prepping. So he's got a ton of recipes. He's got actually a couple books out. He's all over social media. So Fitman Cook, and actually it's in English and in Spanish. So he translates all of his information. So if that's preferred language, then he's got everything. His entire site is bilingual. Of course, your Pinterest is a great resource for just inspiration and ideas. Cooking Light has a ton of recipes as well. And then a couple of CookSmarts, as I mentioned before. There's meal prep books if you're looking for something like that. One of my friends and colleagues, Shelly Marie Redmond, she has the website Skinny Louisiana, and she focuses her recipes on more of the paleo, lower carb recipes, and a lot of recipes using her Instapot. So if you enjoy using that, she's got a lot of great recipes on her website. And then the other one, Budget by the Lean Green Bean. That's also a dietitian who runs that website. A lot of meal prep ideas and inspiration. Meal Prep on Fleek is another one that has some good ideas. The Kitchen is always a great website for all things food related. So that's one of my favorites. All right, so that concludes my talk. Yeah, any questions?
Thank you so much, Christy. That was like such a wealth of knowledge. I really liked the make what you want to eat, like meal prep what you want to eat and what sounds good. I think that's such like a good way to look at it, just because like if you're like not looking forward to eating something, you're like, I don't want to eat this.
Yeah, and we all get in that sort of rut of the same recipes, the same 3 foods on the plate. And that's where kind of having those containers and maybe freezing those meals for another day, and then kind of bring in something new. And that's where websites and books can give you some inspiration to try something different. And, in my cooking classes that I teach, now and then I will bring in a new ingredient or something, maybe even something like lentils, if you're not used to eating them, they're budget friendly, or different types of beans, they're budget friendly, and they can just add some different flavor, something different.
For sure. Absolutely.
To the mix.
Well, we're excited to share this with the students, and we thank you so much for your time today, Kayla, and I really appreciate you. And we'll be sure to link to all of Christy's resources and her Cooking on Campus page on our nutrition website, so that you guys can find some of this stuff.
Also, Cooking on Campus Instagram account, which is UA Cooking on Campus. We are kind of delving into our archives of recipes and looking for recipes to share with everybody that kind of are in line with what I just mentioned, using these budget, conscious ingredients, simple directions that don't make you feel overwhelmed with for some people, cooking is quite daunting, but you can still prepare meals that actually use these more healthy convenience foods. And it's more like assembly, cooking, where there's no actual cooking. You're just sort of putting healthy meals together for yourself.
I love it. I love it so much. Well, thank you. And we will see you soon on the interwebs. Bye.
Bye.